So I'd be telling you guys, like, be positive. Like, no matter what people do to you, to be positive. But here's the thing about that too. It really can be hard. So, especially when you know that like every person in your life is just a terrible person and was there just hurting you the whole time, no matter what you did to them. And I still would be nice, do nice things for people. And I still am kind, and I'm hopeful, and I still have faith. But I was out walking, and then like I told you about Blockbuster. Okay, so I'm like talking to you here, and it's like eating a movie over here, Blockbuster. So I have this memory of this girl who I had an ex, and he kept cheating on me with this girl. But I stayed friends with her, even though she did horrible things to ruin my relationship, to cause torment to my ex and his family. She played a lot of games. God forgive her. I do. I hope she can forgive herself. But I remember one day showed up at my house, which was unlike her. And again, because we weren't like friends, but whenever anybody needs anything, I'm an open door. Everybody knows they can come here. And she needed a friend, and she was like let's go on an adventure. So and again at this time, I wasn't like a leave the house kind of girl. So it was a lot for me to get in the car with this girl and go somewhere. But I was excited, and I needed a change, and I thought like, hey, maybe God brought us together through the craziest things so we could be friends. Because I thought she needed a friend. She didn't have a good family. She didn't have good relationships. And then looking back, I'm like, I don't really know what the girl had, because again, all I knew was her word. And um, either way, even if you have a bad home life, it doesn't give you a right to be a bad person. But she took me to this place that was next door to it was kind of crazy. And now, mind you, at the time too, like I had used drugs, so and I was like a stranger in my own town, so it was really kind of crazy because like it seemed like we drove far away, but it turns out it's really close to my house, and we parked somewhere. And now, mind you, too, this is the tricky part, and I didn't know about this till later. So, like, her car was broken down, so she got a rental car in someone else's name, and we parked in an animal veterinarian hospital parking lot, and then walked up in between these two apartment buildings, like cut down in their yard, and then, so mind you, one minute we're like in the city, like the city, and then the next minute we're like in the like suburbs, and then but when we walk in between these two houses, we're like deep in the woods miraculously, like, which doesn't make sense because it was city all around us. And as we're walking on these, like, you know how like on playgrounds they have those weird like old, well, they're old, I'm old, so they don't really make them like this anymore, but they used to have those like bridges that were made of wood and you walk across. But these are like, or like a pier, right? They're like wooden, and but one minute you're like walking in some between these two backyards or side yards, whatever, and the next minute we're like floating a million miles up. It felt like over water, and it was like so. And again, it was like zigzaggy, boop 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 boop, and it again all of a sudden we're like at this castle. It felt like, but it felt like my home. Like I felt like I had lived there before, or I was meant to be there. And it was so peaceful, and it was so amazing. And it was like it was some kind of like temple archway or doorway or something, and it was all windows, and it was just so amazing. And I'm like, this is my house. I lived here before, or I'm meant to live here. Um, and inside, it was crazy because it was like moved out of. It was like abandoned or something. And she's telling me this story too about how a friend of ours who passed away, rest in peace, Steve-O, which I felt like they killed him. They killed him and they killed Todd. And There's something else. So inside the house, there was like a antique grand piano, a baby grand piano. There's all these antique books, all this antique sheet music, all this amazing, all these, even like a foosball table, like, or I think that's what they're called. You like do the little levers and stuff. But anyways, it was like somebody just moved out in a hurry, left all this great, amazing, expensive stuff. Okay. And now she was saying too how like Steve-O had tried to pretend to like move in there like squatters' rights and say that the family had paid him to work on the place or something, but the police ended up kicking him out. And again, we were trespassing, okay? But at the same time, I felt like I felt more at home in that house than I had been anywhere in my life for like the past 20, 30 years. But either way, so I had taken even because I was like, it was like all this stuff was going to waste, and so I grabbed like some antique sheet music or something, and like this tribal bird thing that was just kind of like screwed into the wall, and because I'm like a collector of old things, and I don't like things to go to waste. So, and again, technically it was trespassing and stealing, but in my mind, I felt like I was saving history. Um, but anyway, so there was all this great, cool stuff. Like again, the sheet music was from like the 17 and 1800s, like stuff that would have been valuable, right? And this girl is like taking nothing. And again, mind you, it's dark. There's no lights. There's no nothing. Um, and so then as we are getting ready to leave, because again, you don't want to be in somewhere too long, and especially with the flashlights and everything. So as we're leaving, all she takes is this one pipe, like a big long pipe, because she's like, oh, I need to take something. And so we get in the car and we go back to my house, and as she's getting out of the car, I'm like, oh, do you want that pipe in your car? And so as she goes to hand it to me, I'm like, oh my God, it was bloody. I'm like, I know this is blood. This is not rust. This is not normal. And so we're like, go inside and like, whatever, we're doing drugs. God forgive me, but that's the truth. And the point that even if we're high, it doesn't take away from the story. Again, because I'm sober now, and I remember it clear as day. But we had like this big long powwow, and of course, this is a funny thing about when you're doing drugs and stuff. Like you can spend a lot of time just getting high, and so we're talking about how like we have to go, we have to take this to the police. Doesn't matter if we're wrong. Doesn't matter. I'm like, we have to take. Well, I was more than this girl was. She was like, oh, I have to suddenly go. So whatever, and again, because I don't throw things away, and because I felt like this was of important significance, like I put this pipe somewhere, and I had forgotten about it, long about it. And so fast forward to, like months and months and months goes by. The girl hits me up, like out of nowhere, and she's like, the police, something about the police asked me about this pipe, or something about me using you to cover up this crime against somebody. And I was like, well, and whatever she was saying, okay, because again, I don't really remember it clearly, but whatever she said, I knew she was lying. Like, whatever she was saying at that time when she hit me back up, she's like, I'm pregnant, I can't go to prison, blah blah blah, and it clicked to me, because she's like, the police hit her up. First of all, how could the police hit you up? Because you were in a car that wasn't registered to you. We parked off camera. You know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff that like didn't, and again, that rental car wasn't registered in her name, so there was no way the police would have tracked her down and like came and asked questions about me. So what I got like the vibe, like something was off. Everything about what was she saying was malarkey. But then it clicked to me. I'm like, this girl, I knew that their pipe was used in a crime. Like I known it. I knew it. And then if you, and again, the girl Christina. Okay, so she introduced me to this guy Steve-O, and I was like, oh my god. And Steve-O, I like, we clicked right away too, because again, Sonny Sonny Bollinger, the guy who founded the Hells Angels, he looked and sounded just like him. Like, it was phenomenally insane. And again, and he even had like the throat cancer sound voice. Like, it's a very, and again, a very unique facial features, very unique sounding voice. So I'm like bugged out. I'm like, oh my god, you don't know who Sonny is? Let me show you. So I pull up YouTube because I'm like, bro, this is you. This is you. I know my Sonny. This is your Sonny. Like, but anyway, fast forward to something happens, and they kill him. There's basically the story about her. Okay, so there's Ann and Todd and Steve and Dylan and Christina, and they were all friends, and not like my close friends, and it's really really a crazy story. I'm gonna have to do this in a two-part video because I have to split them up, but because it's like 11 minutes, and I think you can only do 15 minutes or something, so I'm just gonna stop me here and do another one.